Welcome to the West Virginia Case Podcast, hosted by Les Odell. Join us as we dive deep into all things strange, including Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, and more. Pull up a chair and set for a spell. It's going to be a great time. Now, without further delay, let's get the show started.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey folks, welcome back to the West Virginia Case Podcast. I just want to say thank you all for coming to watch the show tonight. I know there's been a little bit of a break with the 2 weeks. We had 4th of July last week, so there was no show. I spent some time with the family. The week before that was the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival. I was down there for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so couldn't do a show. I wish I could have got something on, maybe like some kind of live or pre-recorded, but it was a busy time. Let's just say that there's a lot of people there. We had story times after the festival. We had like a campfire story time. I took part in that on Thursday and Saturday. So yeah, it was a busy time. A lot of people were there, and we had a great time. I want to thank the Petalico family that owned the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival, West Virginia Bigfoot Museum down there for putting on the festival. And asking me to come down and spend some time there and talk to a bunch of folks. And a bunch of nice people showed up. A lot of people stopped by and chatted and told me stories and shared some encounters. And so I got to meet a lot of those people. With that being said, I just want to do a couple announcements here real quick before we bring our guest on. If you're in the Panhandle, West Virginia area around, Thomaston State Park, somewhere around in there or around that area, we have the third annual Thomaston State Park Bigfoot Day. It's Saturday, June 13th, 1 to 5, Thomaston Run Campground Group Shelter. 1 to 2, the speakers from 1 to 2 is Fred Saluga and Brian Seach. Bigfoot, West Virginia. 2:20 to 3:20 is Jim Sparks, My Paranormal Journey. 3:40 to 4:40 is Ed Kellerman, Haunted Fact, Folklore or Fake. It's always a great time. They do a really nice thing up there. I've been there a couple times, really enjoyed it. Brian and Terry and Fred, all good friends of mine, and do a real nice job. If you're in the Fairmont area or surrounding area, maybe Clarksburg, Morgantown, there is a festival that the friends of mine, the Moth Boys, are putting on, and it is. Let me bring it up here. It is Veggie Man Day, June 13th. That's this Saturday, 11 to 5. The Frank and Jane Gaber Folk Life Center. That is actually one of the annex buildings off of the Fairmont State University. And there will be some speakers. I don't remember if there's some speakers or not, but there are some vendors. There'll be quite a few vendors there. If you don't know what Veggie Man is, it's kind of it's an old story. It's an old encounter somebody had years ago near the Fairmont area, Reedsville, Fairmont area. It's strange. If you want to know about it, Google it and read into it, and it'll probably leave your head scratching your head. It has me when I learned about it years ago. So with all that said, let's bring on our guest. Tonight's guest is Ron Howes. Ron is a Bigfoot researcher. He is a veteran. He's a friend of mine. He is also AKA Biker Bigfoot. If you don't know who that is, and you go to some of these events, especially in PA and Ohio and West Virginia, you'll see this man riding around on a Harley with his Bigfoot costume on. And we're going to talk about how that came to be and why he does it. So without further ado, let's bring Ron on. Hey, Ron, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Pretty good. Trying to stay cool with this heat that's going on. I'll tell you that.
It's a little bit less hot today, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a break, but I'm sure we're going to get back into it, come up into the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be here mid 90s on Saturday, and I'm not looking forward to that.
No, I'm not either. If you know my past.
Yeah. Well, I got you on here. Just go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the guests we got a few of them in the chat room already. We got some watching. Just go tell them who Ron is. I mean, you don't necessarily have to start into the Bigfoot stuff yet. Just tell us who you are.
Well, my name is Ron Howes. I'm from Washington County, Pennsylvania. Grew up on a small farm in an area called Deemston, PA. And we had a lot of different animals that we took care of there, just, growing up through my young years, and just throughout life made changes and jobs and careers and gone different places in life. And at one point I was in the Air Force, so I'm a veteran, and there's always been an interest in different things in my life. I have a Scottish background, Scotch Irish, actually. So I have. If you ever see me in person, you'll see that my tattoos are all Celtic. It's just my heritage. I love it. I have a background from the circus. We used to have a circus back in the 1800s, the International House Circus. So, if you know who I am and know how my character is, that explains a lot about me.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I like to tell that joke, get people laughing. But I've always been a type of a person that likes to get people to laugh. I growing up in my younger years, I didn't have an easy life, and with school and bullies and stuff like that. So it's just, I always like to be able to joke around with people and get them laughing, because that's just my thing. And especially with the circus background, But that kind of brings me to what I do today. As far as the farm is concerned, growing up there, I was 13 years old whenever I had my first sighting. Just riding around on my three-wheeler, remember those days?
Mm-hmm. I still have one.
You still have one? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I had my first one back then, and, I'm riding around on the farm and come up into the woods, and there he was, 8-foot tall creature looking at me, and didn't know what to think whenever I was that age. That's why I tell people, like, at 13 years old, you don't know what to think. You never been encountered with something like that before. And obviously I turned around and went the other way, and kind of drew me in to find out what I had encountered, and just kept going back to the woods, and just kept drawing an interest more and more throughout the years. And I started watching TV shows. I started asking questions from people. It wasn't until years later that I found out about another encounter that happened in the area that was on the news. It was where I live now, actually, is in Daisytown, Pennsylvania, where there's a big investigation. And a good friend of ours, John Statsko, was on that investigation. And him and I have talked about that a lot, and been doing some research here where I live. It just grew, something that I work with my page, which I'll get into here in a little bit. You would think that an encounter like that at 13 years old would steer you away from the woods. It drew me in. I wanted to learn more, and that's where I was saying about me being in Daisytown, PA. We had that incident happen down here where people thought it was a hoax. It was real.
Yeah.
The evidence is real. You can't fake what was going on down here. And now I live here, and I've been doing my own research in this area. And Les would tell you, he came on up for a night stay and checked things out, because I was having increasing activity here at my place, and it still goes on. It diminished for a little bit, but it still goes on.
Well, we have a question here. It popped up pretty quick, and we'll just back up to your encounter as a child. You can describe it a little bit if you don't mind, but Timothy wants to know, let me put it up here. Can you remember what color the creature was? And thank you.
What color?
Yeah.
Well, it was going into dusk, so I didn't get a full description of the color. It was more of a dark silhouette.
Okay.
It did I seen the red eyes. They were 8 feet in the air. Because I went back later to, get a measurement of where it was standing. I didn't know at that time what to look for as far as the footprints and hair and everything. I was 13 years old, but I did get an evident amount of height range. Then it growled at me, so I really didn't get that good of a look at it. I did, like I said, it wasn't like daylight to where it was like walking through or standing there looking at me. It was more of a silhouette standing into the wood line right where I was entering to go into the woods with the bike. So that's
Other than the growl, did it do anything, or did you just turn around and left on your own before you even knew anything?
It didn't come after me or anything. It was basically I on my thoughts nowadays, I think it was just stopping me from going into the woods for a reason. But I turned around and I went back to the farmhouse and didn't keep it to myself for too long. I started asking questions, and some people didn't have answers. Some people wrote it off like, "Oh, you're just seeing things, you thought you saw something. It's your imagination." Just like a lot of researchers deal with, you go and you tell somebody you got some kind of sighting, and nobody wants to believe us. And you just got to power through that, and because you know what you saw. And you think about it and you try to figure out, what was going on in this moment. You try to remember everything you can for the details. Being 13 years old, I'm 50 years old now. There's not a lot of whole details that I can remember from all that. I just know that it's drawn me to be a researcher and do what I'm doing now.
Okay, that happened at 13.
Yes.
Was there a point in your life where other things took precedence? Did your curiosity kind of wane a little bit? You got into other stuff. I know you ended up in the military, or was it always there, even till now? Or did something recently spark your interest or your desire to go at it again here recently?
Well, it's always been there. I know I had moved around a little bit, taking different jobs. Obviously, I went to the service for a little bit, and I'll tell that story as well. But, just as far as the fact of why I became a researcher and where, the time period is for how long I stayed with this. It's always been with me. It's never left me. There was time periods where I didn't have the opportunity to go hunting, but I know for years I would go up to Mount Davis and go fishing for trout season, and I would just go off into the woods up there and just follow logging trails. And I'd asked the natives up there if they've seen or heard anything odd, and sure enough, I did come across something that was really interesting, which has changed a lot of my perspective about all this. And I've been really seeking into the Native American part of this. Mm-hmm. Because of the connection that what I found was a Native American burial grounds. And there's a lot of connection there. A lot of people say that whenever you come into these Native burial grounds, you have a sense of something watching or watching over the grounds or protecting it. Well, there was tree breaks and other evidence of Bigfoot around this grave, the Indian burial grounds that I found. It was really interesting. And of course, you want to respect these areas whenever you come into them. Never desecrate these things. This is sacred grounds. It'd be like somebody walking into a grave site where your family is and doing something to it. The same difference here. This is our Native American culture. These are the people, the forefathers of this land. Right. You don't want to mess with that. But it's really intrigued my Native American heritage. I know I have a bloodline there somewhere. I've been searching it out and trying to find out what culture I come from. But I've really been drawn to that end of it. And there's a story with that as well, with a recent investigation and furthering another investigation that we're going to be doing too. but it's just been a long draw. It really has. And the more and more I dive into it, the more and more I get drawn in. So to step into this all the way, I am a field researcher. I do speak about this at events. I do promoting. I started this page, and the story behind this page is that I had been in the Air Force back in '96, and while I was doing my PT training, and we did a 2-mile run. I completed the exercise, and while standing in the group, waiting for the sergeants to call to us attention, I'm trying to catch my breath. They called us to attention. I stood up, collapsed, and died right there. I had a heat stroke, and my temperature was 109. My flat line for 5.5 minutes. I was unconscious for 3.5 hours. It was a very traumatic experience, which, I would say that would give me part of my PTSD background, because I still deal with that today. The heat stroke will never leave my body. I'm going to be dealing with that for the rest of my life. And, whenever people see me in costume, I constantly get told, like, you're nuts for doing this, especially after what happened to you in the service. Like, how can you? I'm still serving people. I like to make people laugh. So it's a sacrifice that I put upon myself to make people happy. There's a lot behind all this. I know I have a mission in life to do what I do, and I had to take these steps, in whether they're good or bad, to get where I'm at. So, I ended up leaving the service because of the medical discharge of what happened with me there. Even after I fought to stay in and get rehabilitated. Yeah, that didn't come out right. Rehabilitated. And it just wasn't working for me. My body said no. Evidently, that was not my mission in life. So, I moved on. I took some years away and, doing my investigations and stuff like that. And I came across some people that I knew. They asked me to come join the Legion, and I did. I became a vice commander there. It was in Roscoe, Pennsylvania, and I ended up being a leader of the motorcycle group, which put me in my motorcycle background, which I've always been enthusiast of motorcycles, and it really hit hard whenever I joined there. I also was in command of Region 1 Legion Riders, which put me in command of over 20 legions, and I got to know a lot of people, gained a lot of ground with friends and family with that. And while I'm doing this, I am going to funerals. As you know, legions will go to funerals for the fallen members of the military. One year, 4 funerals, all suicide. That really hit me. And I knew I had to step in to do more than what I'm doing as a commander. And I started my page. So that wasn't the full beginning of it, though, yet, because, as you know, I showed up at a Bigfoot event that I had learned about, and I had never been to a Bigfoot event before, but it just happened to be 10 minutes away from my house. I had a costume. I had a bike. I was like, what the heck? Let's do this. I threw the costume on, threw my vest on, and I was like, hey, why not? I was like, what am I going to do about protecting my suit from the exhaust? So I threw my chaps on. So guess what? Biker Bigfoot was born. So what do? I ride off to this show, and there you were. That was the first time we met. And I know you love telling this story. And it actually sparked something with me because of the day that I showed up there. This family comes over. And obviously there was a lot of people who wanted pictures with me, and this family comes over, and this little girl, it was her birthday that day, and she just wanted to meet Bigfoot. That was the whole thing about her day. And I come rolling up, and the family comes over and tells me this, gets my picture, and I was like, man, I'm sweating in this thing, but it doesn't compare to the waterworks that I'm having right now because of the emotions of the excitement from this little girl. And so putting that together with the fact that I'm a commander and a leader of the bike group and going to these things and seeing people passing away, or seeing the people that have passed from the problems that they deal with, I was like, this is something I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I brought my Biker Bigfoot together with the Legion. And of course, I did a lot of shows down there, events that we did at the Legion, and I'd just show up randomly in my costume. People were like, what are you doing? It was just the opening.
Right.
Between that show and me being in the Legion and me being a rider, I would go around and do this stuff, go to these shows. I'd just jump on the bike and go to do things. And it was just bringing attention. And that's the correlation with everything. Well, why is Biker Bigfoot having anything to do with the PTSD? Well, I mean, hey, if I'm that clown, so be it. I'm the guy in the costume that's out there making everybody laugh and having a good time and enjoying themselves. And I absolutely love to know that, making people happy is a good thing, because here's the thing with the page. Believe in yourself, fight against PTSD. I know it's been out there. A lot of people know about this page. A lot of people need to know more about this page because of the impact that PTSD have on people. I started it with the veterans. I ended up taking it even beyond that. The families need their help from the people that are dealing with the PTSD, the people that are helping the person that's dealing with PTSD. They all need this help because it's a struggle for everybody. It's not just in the military, it's in the first responders, it's in the cryptid world. You have a lot of things happening in this world, and it doesn't even have to be in those. It could just be normal life. People have so much happening around them that sometimes we don't know how to deal with things. And it just creates this emotion inside of you that you just can't handle, and it bottles you up. And this is what I talk about with people with the military. You've had these elders that go into these wars back in the day, which paved ways and gave us our freedoms and stuff like that. These men, and at that time there was very few women, went out there and they fought these battles and didn't talk about what they had to deal with. So they're harboring these issues inside and, going on with life because that's what they were bred and taught to do. And that's what happens in the cryptid world. You have your sighting and people don't talk about it because they're worried about the criticism. For one, I don't worry about that criticism. I go out there and I battle that, and I go out there and I face people and I say, hey, I want to know what's going on. What have I seen? What am I dealing with? I mean, that's a very important thing that you got to do, is you got to open up and you got to talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
getting people to open up, doing that, connecting with them in some way or another is important to get them to talk to you and make them feel comfortable, and it can be just something simple. One of the questions I get quite a bit, the very first question somebody come out is like, not have you seen Bigfoot, or are you this and that and that. They'll look right at me. Are you really from West Virginia? And that is one of usually the opening questions I get for a lot of sightings. And because here in West Virginia and other places, people just don't want to talk to somebody that's not from, or doesn't, they don't know, what it's like to be here. So
I do understand that one. Yeah.
I got one thing. I just want to put a comment up here for you to see. I don't know if you can see it. It's from Tony Morris. He said, hey, I met you at Laurel Store. I'm the guy that said I'd be your best man.
Hi, how you doing?
I guess, you said something to Laurel about getting married at the event next year. And
yeah, I wasn't ready to talk about that, but I guess
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm building to the plot, so to speak.
Sorry about that. Don't worry about it, guys. I was just joking around. He's not getting married.
Yeah. that's coming. Don't worry. So I like to build for effect. So
okay.
just getting people's attention and going after it. So, one of the greatest things that I could say about opening up to people and talking to them and letting them know what you got going on in your life is the reason why I'm here now is because of you. That day changed my life. For me to ride into that place and be nobody, but just this guy on a bike dressed in costume, you took friendship with me and brought me to Sutton, and I got to speak in front of these people down there 2 years ago, and it was fun because our conversation, I will never forget that, because it was like that Sham Wow commercial, like, wait, there's more,
right?
Because you kept on building it up, like, oh, how would you like this? Or how about this? Yeah, but how about this? I was like, oh my gosh, it keeps getting better and better. So
well, let me share it like I always do here.
Go for it.
You heard Ron talk about he come into the event in Pennsylvania, and I'm standing outside, and I hear this Harley coming up. You can hear it coming from a mile away. And next thing I know, I see him come around this turn, and I look over, and here's this dude on a Harley with a Bigfoot costume on. I'm like, yeah, I got to meet this crazy dude. So we talked and ended up being, become friends. We actually talked a little bit more at the fire hall, the Morel Fire Hall. That's where we got to be kind of, more, I guess, friendly. We talked a good bit and hung out, and then I was asked to, help put on speakers and stuff for the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival. And the first one I thought of was you. I knew Dr. Meldrum was going to be there for the conference part of it. And well, I was like, I want Ron there. I want him to talk about the cause that he works with. Then I also want him people to see what he does, as far as going through these events the way he does. And I was like, hey, would you mind speaking about your cause? And Ron's like, absolutely. Well, it was a little bit later when I really found out that Meldrum was coming. It was actually, I knew he was supposed to be coming, but then I found out that it was actually going to happen. That everything had been set in place. And so I remember it was, I don't know, a couple of weeks later, a week or two later, after I asked you to speak, I remember calling you up and said, hey, have you been polishing up on your speech, your presentation? And he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, well, because I'd like you to come down and introduce Mr. Meldrum. And I remember you're like, what? And so you did. There was a conference, I keep wanting to say conference. The banquet is what it was. There was a banquet, and Meldrum was speaking at the banquet. And I said, just come in, talk about, your cause and some other, whatever you want to talk about for about 15 minutes. And then you introduced Mr. Meldrum, And I remember looking out in the crowd, folks. He stood at the podium and talked, and nobody said a word. I looked out, and there was men, women alike. These people were crying about what you're talking about. And you were done, and I remember standing there as Meldrum come over, and he looks at me and said, "That's a hard act to follow." I mean, he literally did. And he came over. I remember him shaking your hand, and you were starstruck. You were nervous because you said, "I'm nervous to meet him." And those who don't know, Dr. Meldrum, his first name's Jeff, Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. I don't know why, but Ron looks at him, shakes his hand, and like wide-eyed, look on his face. He goes, "Thanks, Frank." And I just like lost. And I thought it was, and Meldrum thought it was hilarious. And but he went on and done his thing, and then the rest is history. You've been out there doing your thing. You've gotten your name out there with your cause. You've been on several radio stations. You've been at several events, and speaking of events, Bob, yeah. Speaking of events, you were just down at the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival. You made some friends there that a lot of people might know. You talk about that a little bit.
Really exciting because, again, when I go back to say that I've watched a lot of these TV programs and stuff, just like Dr. Meldrum being on TV, he's like the pinnacle of all the scientific stuff. So it's like really exciting that he was there, and I got to introduce him, Fred, and so yeah, we went and did the Sutton show this year, and there's a lot that happened that weekend, and I'm going to get to all that, but it's really interesting that you go to these shows and you go to meet these people, and yeah, it's exciting. You get to meet TV celebrities, but this particular year, I got to become friends.
Yep.
With Jeffro and Willie, to the point where they invited me to a show down in Morgantown at the Triple S Harley Davidson, which was this past Sunday, and did a meet and greet with them. And
for those who don't know, that's Jeff and Willie from the Mountain Monsters, the TV show with Buck and Huckleberry and Jeff and Willie. So for those that didn't know, I mean, some people may not know who they were. Here in West Virginia, they're a big deal. You know, when they're at some place, there's a line to watch them. Yep. So you had I remember I was like, I'm sitting there at my table and I hear your bike come by and I see you, and the next thing I know, you're like zipping right by and you're up the ramp onto the stage, and you're like,
yeah, that video is everywhere. Yeah, I was wondering if everybody would catch on to what was going on, and then the video being posted. So yeah, they invited me up on stage. So I dressed up, rode the bike right up onto the stage, and there it was. We did the promo for it, and I ended up getting photo bombed by Turtle Man.
Yep.
I guess he felt left out. So I would imagine that's going to be another one that's going to be on my roster of friends, because he was real excited about all that. And I've come across him quite a few times because, you know, I helped Daniel Benoit with his stuff. Actually, part of his page, the Myths and Legends, which was something new that he did this year in Pennsylvania. And it was really exciting to be able to start something new like that. I've done a show in the past. You was there. It was at the Legion. It wasn't the biggest show, but it was wonderful to be getting to, regardless. I know you guys had a good time. And,
absolutely, yeah.
It was something different. And that's me. I'm all about doing things differently instead of the stigmatized shows that a lot of people do. Because I've been working on something for a couple of years ever since that show. And I have a show planned. There's just a lot. It's going to be a little bit. I'm hoping that I can do it in 25, but it just depends on how busy I get, because obviously the popularity of Biker Bigfoot has grown immensely. And also I've had some other changes in my life as you recently have learned.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never heard about that.
You never heard about that?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. You're being coy about that one now.
No, not at all.
Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the research that I've been doing first, and then I'm going to jump right into that part. So there's been a lot of changes that happened in my life in the past couple of years, ever since that show that you brought me into. And it went from that show to this show to that show. I ended up in 4 different states and 11 different shows the following year. And it's still growing. I've been just doing more and more to get things out there. And I've made some changes with my page. I've made some changes with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Life has changed personally. You know, I've had some relationships that it didn't work out. And I finally got my mind into, you know, I just got to do what I got to do and just keep moving forward and just do some things to help people. And, you know, at one point I had to jump in, help Daniel Benoit with his show at Myth and Lessons at the Bakersville Community Park, making new friends there, which was a phenomenal thing. You know, 4 of us ended up on this camping trip after that show. And, you know, we've made friends for life with that one. It was a very spiritual experience, being out in the woods and doing the things that we were doing on that investigation, you know, hearing a lot of different things. It's different whenever you see and hear things on TV or you hear recordings versus hearing it in real life. It was really, really interesting to hear the voices of the creatures that you seek in they're right there. right there with you in the woods. And that was one of the things that I will definitely remember from that investigation.
Elaborate on that. Elaborate on that a little bit. I want to hear about that.
Yeah. So we're walking an access road. We're up in Mount Davis, and we're at campsite number 6, and we're walking an access road to go down to a field. And I had a parabolic mic on my ear, and as I'm walking, I'm determining the different sounds that I'm hearing, because obviously everything's amplified. Well, Dan and I were ahead, and the 2 girls were behind, and I just told everybody to just be, keep it quiet so I can hear what's going on. And I started hearing footsteps in the woods, and I gave Dan the signal to stop and listen. And while we were standing there, I could still hear the footsteps for a moment, and then it stopped. And the next thing I know, I hear, "Rah!" I'm like, all right. So I give a little whistle back, and it did it again. So I got 3 times of this back and forth, and to hear these voices. And yes, it does have the tone of a samurai. So we were experimenting with samurai talk while we were there. And it's really interesting, the reactions that you get from stuff like this. But that right there, just to hear that tone and that noise that they made, it stuck with me. I will never forget that. It's an experience just to be able to be in them woods and know that they're there, first of all. But then there's that little bit of a acknowledgement. I don't know if they were trying to get my attention by that, or if they were trying to get another one's attention. But I know we were surrounded at one point, because we heard knocks all the way around us in 3 different locations. We got lost at one point too, and we would give call outs to locate where each one of us was, because we couldn't see each other because of the brush. And Dan had already made it to the field. Me and the girls were trying to truck through this one area because we were getting tired. We were getting chewed up by the briars and stuff like that. So I called out, and I heard over here to my left, oh, whoop, back. And then directly in front of me is where the field's at. I heard another whoop. I'm like, and then the one in front of me started talking to us. So I knew it was Dan. And I'm like, okay, I thought Dan was on my left flank. Here he is straight in front of me. So it was guiding us out. They were out there with us the whole time, and it guided us out. So the whole thing about them knowing whenever we're lost, and knowing that we're distressed and we're scared, or whatever the case may be, they will guide you out. Obviously, they don't want you in their woods, but but if you're in distress and they know it, they're going to be there with you, and they're going to help you. And that right there was definitely an acknowledgement to that fact. But those were 2 very, very interesting situations that we had. Another one is whenever I have a bull roar. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's an Aborigine style telephone, basically. What they used in Crocodile Dundee too, whenever Crocodile Dundee said, "Hey, I got to go make a telephone call," and he's out there whipping that thing around. That's a bull roar. I got some really strange reactions from that. I know our friend Faith, she was down in the woods, and I made a walkie-talkie notification that I'm going to do it. And she said, the time that you said that you were going to do it until the time you said you was done, the woods went dark.
Right.
And broad daylight, sunshine, and beating down on us, and it went dark in the woods where she was at. So I'm going to get this thing blessed so this doesn't happen again. that was a little unnerving to find out. I was like, okay, because I didn't know I was in a clearing, and I didn't know this was going on. She explained it to me whenever she got back to camp, and we were talking about all that. But again, going back to that investigation, it's just, we had a really huge spiritual event happen with that, just connecting with the woods. And that's where I said before about getting connected with the Native American cultures and getting connected with nature. I mean, that's something I love telling people about. You know, if you have any interest in being in the woods, whether you're a deer hunter or you're just a hiker, or if you want to go out and you do want to do these investigations, connect with nature. That's healing. Some people might differ because they've gotten scared by cryptids, but you got to go out and you got to face your fears sometimes. And I know nature is there for us because that's where we come from, and it's very healing. So this is a step towards where I'm going to tell you something that has really changed my life. So, you know, you go through life and you have changes happen, and, you know, it's really hard to deal with certain things, you know, like growing up with bullies, growing up with family that you don't have good relationships with, people coming in and out of your life. These are steps in life to get you where you're going. Sometimes you sit there and you wonder, you know, how much is going to be put on my shoulders before I come to a breaking point. Just know that things are put on you for a reason to make you stronger. And sometimes you may think that there's too much weighing on you. It's because it's trying to build your strength. You know, that's one of the things I learned in Sunday school. You know, God will only put on you what he knows you can handle. Sometimes you wish that he would stop putting so much on you, but it's just to build you stronger, you know, and these are the steps in life that you got to go through. Just like wondering, you know, you see friends, family, you know, they have long time relationships, like my grandparents, they were together from the time they were teenagers until they were 80. So, you know, I immensely love the fact that those two were by each other's side all those years, through thick and thin, arguments or not. And it was just amazing. You can see behind me my little mural of things that I have received from them. You know, this is my grandmother's organ, my grandfather's guitars behind me, and Les was asking me about it before the show started. That is a wooden resonator dobro that my grandfather gave me because I play dobro, and he thought I'd be interested in having that, and I will never let that out of my possession because it was the last thing he gave me before he passed. But, you know, sometimes people come into your life for a short period of time, and some people come for a long period of time. And I see now that whenever I say everything happens for a reason, there's a reason behind things. And, you know, there are steps in life that you're going to go through, like I've said. And you meet people and you never even know what's going to come to your future. Just like me doing these shows, I never imagined in a million years that I was going to be doing what I'm doing now. Being able to go to these shows and sharing my experiences and sharing the cultures that I've learned about, the PTSD that people deal with, and try to help people get through their emotions and their feelings, and hopefully that they don't take the latter way out with suicide. You know, just like my grandfather always said, you know, the sun will always shine tomorrow. So give yourself another day and wait and see what tomorrow is going to bring you. It's a very important fact that I love that my grandfather always said this. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from my aunt. I recently have had a huge change in my life, and I'm building. I'm getting to it, Les. So in being in this world, you could only hope that you would have somebody in your life that's going to share these same experiences with you. And, you know, you go through things with people that don't share the same interests, and it's hard to deal with that. Some people they manage, and some people they don't. So I recently got somebody very special in my life, and we had been talking, and we got to see each other again in Sutton. And her name's Christy, and she has her own business. She's a vendor, and she knows Laurel and everybody very well. And I know Laurel and everybody very well. So it was kind of funny that we went down to the store to let Laurel and everybody know that we're together. And she just got floored by this idea. And, you know, and I found out about, I know, by the way, her business name's Cryptid Chaos Designs. And so it's kind of fun to know that you have somebody in your life that you can spend these times with and just share your same interests. And that just has boosted everything. She's the one that actually got me to go up and talk to Willie and Jeffro.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just turned into what it turned into with being friends with them and doing this other show. So now I've got lifelong friends with those guys, and it was because of her getting me to go up there to talk to them that one morning. And she's just a world of change for me, and it's wonderful, the relationship that we have. And yeah, I got tears in my eyes. It's life-changing. It really is. And her and I know, are going to go into the future and do a lot of changes for everybody around us, not just ourselves, because of what we bring together as a couple. And yes, we are planning on having our wedding down there at Sutton next year. So
cool.
Laurel went off the chain with this and told everybody, like, oh, they're getting married next year. Like, hey, wait, we haven't even got engaged yet. Hold on.
See, I didn't know. I was kind of wondering about it. I was like, it's like Ron never mentioned it to me. When Laurel told me, I looked at her. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, he never mentioned it to me at all. I mean, I figured that'd be something he would talk to me about. And she said, yeah, they're getting married down here at the festival next year. I was like,
it was an idea that we were talking about, and we shared it with Laurel, and she went berserk with it because she was so happy. So yeah, back up a little bit. We're going to get engaged first. So, but yeah, we would like to do that. That's what our plans are. But you know, we got a lot of events that we got to do, and we're doing them together. And it's going to change a lot of things. I know it's kind of like a whirlwind around us of people that, you know, friends that we have brought in together because of our union. Even now, just as, you know, dating together, the friends that she has, the friends that I have, families, you know, bringing everybody together is just going to change the world for a lot of people, because something I didn't understand. And this, I love this, because now I'm getting a better understanding of the different aspects of these shows. Like, I didn't know that vendors look up to promoters and speakers. I know that they come and they sell their stuff, but they really look up to us because we provide a place for them to sell their product. I mean, and sometimes these things are people's livelihoods, you know. And it gave me a different perspective on things. And that's why I don't dismiss anybody. This is what I'm all about. Like, you know, I want to help people. I want to get people moving along in life and making things better for people. And this just proved to another point to me that there's other things out there that I've got to venture in. And this has done that with our union. And it's wonderful. It really is. So,
well, I'm happy for you, buddy. I mean, I know how, you know, being your friend and stuff. I know how, you know, the last relationship, how it ended and how it was pretty rough on you and stuff. But I'm happy to see you're happy for sure. I mean, that makes me feel good, buddy.
I'm more than happy. I can't even describe how happy I am. Just the wonderful person that she is, and we feed off of each other's energy. So it's
right.
But it is going to be a world of change for everybody around us too, because like I said, you know, bringing different worlds together like that, you know, we're going to be able to help share things and make shows even better because of the connection that we have.
Right.
Not just between ourselves, but also between the people that we know. And it's going to be great. I know we're looking forward to the future. And there's more investigations coming. There's more shows coming. There's more platforms of things. Like I said about working on a show for myself, I have something very huge that I haven't talked about a lot with a lot of people. there's some things that I'm working on here in Pennsylvania that I want to bring to a head and make happen. And I'm hoping that 25 is going to be the year. And whenever you see this happen, you're going to know, because it's going to be out there, and I'm going to share it to everybody. And everybody that has been involved with my life is going to be involved in it. And that's the way I do. It's kind of like one of them Adam Sandler things.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Adam Sandler makes a movie, all of his friends are in it. You know, you guys have pulled me along and taken me places by just being by my side and help sharing my story and getting me out there. You know, I share the gratitude, and I want you guys all to be there. I wouldn't be where I am now without the help of everybody that's done what they've done for me.
Hell, now it's like flip, buddy. Anybody's like, hey, Biker Bigfoot. I'm like, I know that dude. I know that guy.
I flipped the script.
Yeah. I just want to throw out here a couple people say, Tony's like, congratulations. Belinda says, congratulations. Dave from Three Forks Creek Outdoors says, hey, Ron, sorry we missed you on the 28th. My wife really wanted to meet you. Hopefully next year. So, Ron, I know you have, you work
thank you guys.
night shift. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you all for that. I'm very excited about the future with her. I'm very excited about the future that her and I are going to bring to everybody else. She's very excited about our joining together, because one little joke that she said, and she'll get to say it here herself, but I'm gonna throw it out there for her. She always said that she wanted to marry a Bigfoot, so here I am.
There you go.
What better Bigfoot but a biker Bigfoot, the badass.
Match made in heaven, buddy. Match made in heaven.
It really is, bringing the chaos and the biker Bigfoot together. So
Well,
loves it when I say that. I know she's smiling right now. But
I know you work night shift, so I don't want to keep you real long. I don't really want to keep you long, but okay. I just want to tell everybody, if you have any questions for Ron, go ahead and put them out there. Try to put them in all caps. That way I can keep up with which ones they are. If you put them all caps, I know it's a question. So
one thing that I wanted to make sure that everybody knew, go to my page, join it. It's called Believe in Yourself, Fight Against PTSD. Believe in Yourself is all capital letters. I did that for a reason, because there's other groups out there that's using that, and it's hard to find me. My picture is going to be changing, but for right now, there's a set of hands reaching from the sky holding the American flag. That's my page. To see where I'm going to be, like some of you have said that you wanted to meet me, you'll see what I have going on that page, or even go to my private page, Ron Howes, or even my other page. I have Bikers Bigfoots Fans. It's not a group, it's an actual profile. You can join that as a friend and see where things are going too. So yes, I'm open for questions. So yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, you want to talk to me further privately, just join those pages and contact me.
Yeah, if anybody didn't see him in costume, if you've seen the thumbnail for the podcast here, that's Ron and all his glory, hairy glory. So. See if anybody pops up. Not yet. Nobody said anything about yet, questions or anything. But I'm trying to get it to refresh too, because the last one didn't come in until like 10 minutes ago. So you talk about, was it Davis Mountain, or what is it again?
Mount Davis, Pennsylvania.
Mount Davis. What's the history? I mean, just give a little bit of the history there about why you guys would go there.
If you know about our Civil War history, it's very close to the International Road Route 40. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a very historical road because it travels from east to west, and that's where the settlers traveled to go across the country. So it goes through the mountains here. I'm very close to the Uniontown Mountains, where the summit is, where the Javonville Cross is. And beyond that, you're heading on to Confluence area, which is the start of Mount Davis. And it goes on into Maryland, down in Myersdale also. It's just, there's a huge range of mountains, and it's the Mount Davis. High Point Lake is very close to where we were. The lookout tower for Mount Davis is where right above where we were. It's very interesting and thick woods that has a lot of life up there. But there's a lot of Native American history that goes through this area. There's a lot of history from the Civil Wars where George Washington and who else am I thinking? Thomas Jefferson. They traveled through here with their troops. Matter of fact, I descend from my mother's maiden name is Kinder, coming from the word kindred spirit, from the Amish, the Quakers, and then obviously the kindred spirits are the Indians, our Native American cultures. So with all the history that comes through this area from all that time period, there's a lot of history of wars and fights and battles and stuff that goes on in these mountains, let alone our Appalachian culture trickles from the Appalachian Range into Mount Davis. There's just so much cryptid history. There's so much history beyond all that with everything that we've dealt with in our history books. It's amazing what you can find up there as far as maybe, like I said, there was the Native American burial grounds. There might be some sites where there used to be homes. I know I come from background, Buckhannon, West Virginia. That's where my grandfather was born and raised. And I went to a reunion, which I'll be going again this year, down there where the Indian Head Camp is, where we go. It looks to me, I haven't learned the history about it yet, but it's church/school. So you're going back to the prairie days, whenever church go on Sunday and school during the week. They had one building for everything. There's a foundation down by the creek where my grandfather's house was. And that reminds me, whenever he gave me this dobro, he said, "Don't tune that because that thing will break." I tuned it. I had to play it just once, and when I did, the smell came out of it, and I just closed my eyes, and it put me on that porch where my grandfather grew up.
Yeah.
Just having that smell come out at me, and I was like, wow, that was really awesome to have that moment right there, because knowing your heritage, knowing your background, and knowing where you come from, it's just, at my age at 50, to learn all this stuff about myself, it's just amazing to know what we have come from. And that's just like what we're trying to seek out with the cryptids. Like, where do they come from? What are they? What are they doing here? Why do we have these things? I have a lot of thoughts about we are aliens to this planet ourselves.
Yeah.
We're just a footnote on what this planet has held and what's going to hold. There's a lot of people having more and more UFO sightings. Where I live, not only is there a Bigfoot stuff going on, but there's UFO sightings in my backyard. Not per se in my backyard, but on the other side of the woods from where I'm at. So there's a lot of stuff to investigate. There's a lot of stuff to learn. This world's full of information. We just got to get out there and find it. And that's what I intend to do. And so do the rest of us that are investigators.
Well, when you're in Buckhannon for the family reunion, I don't know when it'll be, you give me a yell. I'd like to come down and meet you, and there's a cave I want to take you to just up in Elkins.
Okay.
I want to take you in that cave. So yeah, give me a yell.
Hopefully I'll have time.
Belinda jumped in here late into the show, but she asked a question, and if you don't mind,
go ahead.
Touching on it again. Ron, have you ever had an experience with a Bigfoot?
Yes. That we were talking about this earlier about my first encounter was whenever I was 13 on a family farm. It wasn't a full-fledged, like I'm sitting here, looking at each other, me and Les. It was more of like a silhouette in the dark. It was late in the evening. Dark was starting to set in. It was standing off into the wood line. So it wasn't what I would hope for nowadays. But yes, 13. And I've had other encounters with them in my own woods here where I live in Daisytown, PA, where there was the investigation back in the 90s I've heard them. I've communicated with them here. They come down to visit me at my house, and it's kind of like it was something. Christy was here the other day, and she heard something up there, and I went out and I went up to communicate with them because I knew they were there. They're always down here messing around and letting me know they're present. I go running off into the woods whenever I hear them. I don't let them scare me. I go running off the woods, and her and I came to the conclusion that they think that I'm playing because one of them is a young, not a juvenile, but a little bit older, because it's been years since the mother and the child has been sighted. So the juvenile is a little bit older now, but it's almost like they're playing with me. So, they do stupid stuff in the woods. Like I had explained to you before you came up for that night of investigation. It's just more and more stuff was happening. They seriously are messing with me.
Yeah.
So, it's like we have like this childhood play that we keep going on. So, whenever I go running off into the woods, they're like, "Oh, we got him. Here he comes." So we're going to go hide. And then they'll mess with me, and then I'll walk off, and then something will happen over there in the other area where I wasn't, and I'll go running over there. So they're messing with me. They're having fun. So that's fine. Where here I am, Mr. Crazy Biker Bigfoot guy out in the woods running around, chasing around with the Bigfoots and having fun. So it's no wonder that I ended up with a relationship with the chaos.
You don't dance around your yard in your costume, do you? Maybe they find it as a show there.
I'm going to plead the fifth on that. No, seriously, I do get in my costume. I walk around in the yard, getting myself ready before I get on the bike, before I go places. But no, I have not gone into these woods with it on, but I have done it at other. I was at Dan's investigation last year in Virginia. That's where I found the handprint in the ground. I was in costume and we were doing some silly things. We was doing a promotional video out on the lake. I was out on a flatboard, rowing around on the lake, getting people's attention. And I mean, that's what it's all about. I wear the costume to get people's attention, bring attention to the cause. It draws people in, and I absolutely love it. You can't see me smiling behind the mask because my mask is already smiling. So everybody makes that joke, like, "Are you smiling for the?" Actually, yes, I am, because I don't know why, because you can't see my face, but I am smiling in that mask. But it's wonderful to be able to look through that and just see the people's smiles. It really is.
Yeah.
And then Christy was walking around with me during these shows, and she's giving me the feedback that I don't see as I'm walking through crowds. And you gave me feedback from whenever I did the speech, and just, I love getting the feedback because I don't get to see everything that's going on around me when I'm in costume or when I'm doing a speech. And it's just phenomenal to hear what I have done for people by doing what I'm doing. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud. It's a very proud moment to know that my family heritage has trickled into my now life. And I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's wonderful. I absolutely love it.
Well, I'm happy to know you. I'm happy to be your friend, buddy. I'm proud of what you do. Proud of the cause you did. You've started. Yeah, that's an honor. So,
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to do what I'm doing. I'm still serving my country. Despite what happened to me in the service, I'm still serving my country. That's what I feel that I'm meant to do. Not everybody finds their path. I know this is my path, and it's only going to get stronger the further I push.
Cool.
And
very cool. Matthew says, I'm a little late. Well, yeah, you're a little bit late. Matthew, I know Matthew from back when we were kids. Tonight's topic, Matthew, is we're talking to Ron about his Bigfoot encounter as a child, which led him into, the things he does now. He was a veteran, or he's a veteran that has started a cause to help with veteran suicide and PTSD. And he does that with wearing and going to events, a Bigfoot costume. He's become known as the big biker Bigfoot. He rides a Harley. He goes to these events, and he's got to the point where he has quite a following. So yeah, look him up. Check out the page, and you just got to see him when he's out there. It's a blessing to see him out there and watch the people just surround him. Watch the kids come up to him wanting pictures. It's awesome.
I added something to the cause. I got my little stuffed Bigfoot. He's named Junior. So, if the kids are scared of me, I bring him out and they love him. I'll turn my camera around so you can see him.
Oh, Junior. There he is.
He always looks like he's sad, but he's a happy little fellow. But I'm working on getting a vest for him.
Cool.
But he'll probably end up with his own fan page.
Probably. You go out and take
on
pictures.
The bike when I'm not on it, and people are always running over getting pictures with him. So,
Timothy Green wants to know, Ron, I have a question. Are you a musician by any chance? I play banjo and guitar. Just wondering. I saw the instruments in the background.
Yes, I have a Fender Dobro that I have been teaching myself for years. I've kind of stepped away a little bit because of so many events that I do. But yes, I play and I sing. I used to be in singing competitions. I was in the choir in high school. My grandfather taught me a lot of what I know. But yeah, I do play. I'm not very good at the playing, but I try. So
Dave at Three Forks Creek Outdoors said, I'd love to investigate with you or have you and Les come down around my neck of the woods. Dave actually lives around Grafton. About the Grafton monster and stuff, yeah. I'm assuming.
Yes.
So he lives in that area, and I've taken some reports from that area. So it'd be cool probably get down there and hang out with Dave one time. Maybe we can get together and do that.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to move a cursor and realize my finger's not even on the thing. It's clear on the side of the computer. Okay. See if there's anything else. That's it. I don't see any other questions.
Well, what I wanted to jump in there and say was about that Buchanan reunion. Christy and I will be coming back from Hocking Hills because we got that show Friday and Saturday.
Right.
And my reunion. So I'm not sure what time I'll get down there, but before the reunion starts, my aunt's actually getting married. So
okay.
We have a wedding and a reunion afterward. But I'm not that far away. So, if we can connect one day and get down there, that'd be great.
Well, if we can't, I'm still trying to organize. I don't know how well it's going to turn out with stuff I've got going on as well, but somewhere or sometime maybe in October, I'd like to get some guys together, guys and gals, not guys. Just I meant when I say guys, I mean people. Some folks together to go to. There's a Laurel Fork campground. It's outside of Elkins. Be a nice place to camp. There's some areas that we can go hit and check out, or just sit around and hang out, talk Bigfoot, talk BS, whatever you want to do. Tony said he'd love to go, to go out with us. I even invited Tony down to the Bigfoot Festival. If he would like to come down there. My friend Tammy Thrasher would be there for sure. I just like to get a bunch of folks together and just like,
absolutely.
Even if we don't go out and investigate like full fledged, but just to have that,
sometimes will draw them in.
Well, just to have that, that network, network some more, that camaraderie between everybody, something like that. I'm really wanting to do that, and I think I'm going to try to do it sometime in October, mainly because I don't like the heat. I'm not camping in the heat very much, and
that's rough.
But also in October in that area, it can get rough. It can get cold, and so. But I'm all right with the cold, as long as it don't snow.
I can buckle up.
Yeah. So, Tammy says she's in. Tony's like camping. Yeah. So there we go. So I need to get some folks together. If you can come down, bring your lady friend.
Yeah,
we'll hang out. I'll get to see if I can get some other folks together. Belinda says she would like to go. I will be home in October. So awesome. Yeah,
I can't
probably
remember right now, but I'll look at it and send me the information.
Well, you send me when you can be available, and I'll see when I'm available. And Tony, Tammy, Belinda, you guys tell me when you can be available. We'll see if we can put together. We'll do something. We'll put something together.
The only thing I know for sure in October is I'll be down in Virginia with Dan.
Yeah.
We have that week-long camping trip down there. But other than that, I can't remember. I'll check it. I'll get with you.
Okay. Dave says sounds good. Yeah, Dave. You know, guys, just message me here a little bit. Tell me what dates you could do, and Ron, if you can get to, when you find out when you come, just see what we can figure out. Yeah, because I even want to get Bill Rigby down. I talked to him about it. He said by then he should be doing a lot better.
You want to put me and Bill in a camping situation?
I sure do.
Oh,
I sure do. Absolutely.
That's not a good idea.
I want you and Bill together.
Him and I will cause a ruckus.
Belinda says, sounds good, but remember Forest Festival's in October. Yeah, I do remember. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I have to look around that.
I'll collaborate with Christy and see what else we have going on, because I know she has shows that she's doing. So, I mean, we're doing everything together now. So,
okay,
I'll definitely let you know on what we got going on.
Sounds good. If we can't, if we can't do down in that area, maybe we can come up. I don't know. Tammy, her research area is around the Cooper's Rocks area. They have a campground there. They have some pavilions there. They have a lodge there. Maybe we can figure out something there. Maybe we do something there instead of going all the way down. And that way it'd be closer for some folks. And let's just see where everybody lives to. I mean, it would be closer for me. I know it would be closer for Dave. Tony, I'm not sure exactly where you're at.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe that would work better.
Yeah, we'll get this figured out.
All right, sounds good. Well, Ron, I want to thank you. Thank you a bunch. Thank everybody for coming. Next week we have Devin Elliott. Devin Elliott is a folklorist, researcher. He's in all kind of cool things. He's a young fella. Does pretty neat stuff. Then after that, we have a friend of ours, Gwen Purcell. She'll be on the 25th. Then I'm still getting some August. If anybody wants to come on in August, as far as want to tell your stories, or if you got a Bigfoot encounter, UFO encounter, I don't really care what you want to share. Just come on, we'll talk. I have the 1st, 8th, and the 29th open. I am going to try to get a fellow on maybe the 1st or 8th that is a optometrist. He's a friend of mine that I've got to talk to, and we've talked about the eye shine and eye glow, and he will go, into the sciences behind why that can't happen. So I'm going to call him right after the show, or I'll text him, see if he wants to come on one of those days. But if you have I really want to get some people on here that has some experiences as well, not just necessarily Bigfoot researchers, or, it doesn't matter if it's a ghost story, whether it's a UFO story, Bigfoot, whatever you want to talk about. Come on, just send me a message. Like I said, I got 1st, 8th, and 29th open. But on the 15th of August, we have Michael W. Cook coming on. We're going to talk about his experience and his Bigfoot research. And then 22nd, guess who I got coming on? Mr. Curmudgeon himself. Mr. Fred Saluga. Old Fred. Fred's a great guy. I tell him he's Grumpy Fred, but Fred is Fred has a lot of background. I mean, he's been he's been at it for 50 plus years. Yeah. As far as Bigfoot related, UFO related stuff, he's done paranormal investigating. He was a police officer at one time. He's an author now. I think he's got 2 books out. But Fred's going to be on the 22nd of August. He's also I believe, still the state director of MUFON here in West Virginia.
I do believe so, yeah.
And I think the assistant director in Pennsylvania. I believe he's still both. So if you
Bigfoot Researchers Organization.
Yeah. So if you want to hear about, and Fred is Fred's not your typical flesh and blood dude. You know, he's
hard.
Yeah, he's hard, and he can put it out why he's not a flesh and blood guy, and you can I mean, sometimes you're like, wow, you know, I can see his point.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, he'll be on 22nd, like I said, and Michael W. Cook will be the 15th, and Devin the 18th, Gwen on the 25th of this month, and yeah, I think it's about time. It's almost dinner time.
Yeah. I'm gonna unfortunately have to get ready to go to work here soon, but yeah, just one last thing I'll throw out there. You know, just make sure you join the page and see what's going on. You know, life is a journey, and this new journey that I'm on, you guys are going to see it, obviously, because we've been posting everything we do.
Yep.
I love sharing with people because, you know, it gives people hope that true love really is out there, because I know some people have a hard time with that. I've dealt with that myself, but she has a show that's going on down in North Carolina where she's from. And I can't remember exactly the name of it at the moment, but you'll see it posted. So next weekend, I'll be down there with her. And then we're going to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for a Bigfoot con down there.
Is the one in North Carolina, is that the big one that's in Marion, North Carolina?
I don't believe it's the Marion.
Okay.
Because that already happened this year.
I thought, okay, I was wondering, because I thought it did, but I wasn't sure.
That big disaster.
Huh?
That's the one that had the big disaster.
What happened there? I didn't hear about it.
There was a huge storm that came through, and it just destroyed a lot of stuff. People right in the middle of an event. And she actually
I knew about the storm. I knew about the storm, but I didn't know it hit the event.
Yeah, it hit the event. She was standing right in the middle of it while it was going on. Like, a lot of people lost product in their tents, and you know, people got hurt and everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Anita Simpson says, I finally watched one live. Thanks for the awesome show. Thanks, Anita. Thanks for coming. I mean, I know sometimes it's hard to get out or get to watch him because of, you know, things we got going on, and sometimes it's rough for me to get here to get the show going. I get off at about 5 to 5:30. I get home, rush, get cleaned up, and get everything ready to go. So I can understand it.
Yeah, I just rolled out of bed and got myself together and got on here.
All right, folks.
I hope I don't look too tired.
Looking great. Looking great.
Oh, don't.
It's that Scotch Irish in you, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Got it all. It's there. Look at. Hey, I even got a Bigfoot tattoo.
Sweet.
I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Added that to my my stuff. Harry from Harry and the Hendersons is next.
Very cool.
Absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, I think everybody does. Very cool. Well, Ron, I'll see you in a couple minutes here, buddy.
All right.
Well, folks, thank you all for coming again. Had a great time. Ron's a great guest. Great guy. His cause is awesome. And like I said, it's an honor to know him. If you're ever out in an event and you see a fella riding on a Harley, Bigfoot costume, that's Mr. Ron. So that being said, I will see you all the next time.